And they're going to have to play right here, right now. Game 1 with Dart versus JustSaiyan.
Alrighty, so we can see it's going to be Warrior versus Warrior to start things off here. And it should be a good one. I'm pretty excited to actually find out exactly what these guys are playing, what differences there could be in the decks.
Yeah, I mean, this is, a lot of Warrior controls are, very similar styled. And, sort of just, it is what it is. We see Baron Geddon wasn't included in everything. Harrison Jones seems to be a staple in these Warlock control decks, though. It ended up being a really powerful card. But we saw a lot of people holding on to Harrison Jones yesterday in spots where you and I would have favored developing, and I think a lot of people would as well. And, some of those times it got stuck in their hand. But
it really did backfire a couple times.
Yeah, what's the merit of holding it versus the merit of just developing a 5/4 and getting the value that you can off of it? We've kind of yet to see it. A very small sample size, of course, but...
Yeah,
I mean, a card like that gets stuck in your hand. It's brutal.
It's one of those things that's a hard decision, but at the same time, I feel like when you see the opportunity, you have to take it because it just gives you some good value. I mean, getting the card draw, getting the body down on the board, and denying a weapon charge. 2 weapon charges, ideally, in a Warrior matchup. But if you can get that, it's fantastic. But at the same time, I just feel like you need to take what you can get. You can't always hold out hoping to get it off of Gore Howl or some big super value thing, because the thing is, a lot of the times in the late game, when it's legendary after legendary after legendary coming down, you're seeing like Alex Straza drop and Rag drop and all these things. Where are you going to fit the Harrison Jones in?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're not gonna. I mean, You're kind of hoping your opponent doesn't have those good curve out draws. So it really heads up play here from Dart too, making sure he keeps his armor shredded or another. That's really what they're thinking about. And it feels to me like their experience is just guiding them through. They're not putting too much thought into it. And it just shows that they've been in these kinds of scenarios before where it's like, I have used Big Game Hunter before, Shield Slam before, and I have regretted it in the past. So.
And especially because, it's only a 5 armor Shield Slam that you need to get to kill off Baron Geddon.
Yeah.
Whereas a Ragnaros or something like this that is going to come down right now, it's a lot harder to get up to that 8 armor, right? So having the BGH in pocket for that is great.
Yeah, he's going to shred a bunch of armor here, but man, you take a look at these hands. JustSaiyan has...
and I mean, the Shield Maiden off the top, BGH into the Shield Maiden here is going to be a great play for JustSaiyan and really swinging things back in his favor. And when you start to look over across the board at the hand for his opponent, I mean, the Shield Maiden's going to help to smooth that out quite a lot here, but things were not looking so great.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to use he's going to end up using Whirlwind and Cruel Taskmaster here. He's just kind of got to deal with these answers without giving up too much. Obviously, he wants to keep his execute, but his hand it's slim pickings right now. And JustSaiyan, man, everything on his side of the board. Alex Straza, Ragnaros, Dr. Boom, another execute. It's just like where does he go forward with this? I mean, given these specific hands, I have to give a huge advantage over to JustSaiyan right now.
Yeah, JustSaiyan is way ahead, I think. Even though he's down on the life total, I feel like he's just in such a better position here. I mean, his opponent is forced into reacting to basically whatever he wants to do, and really, he does have a good answer to this board, but at the same time, he's going to be taking more damage to the face. His armor's going to be getting shredded off, and there's no real end of threats in sight. It's not like he's weathering the storm and it's going to slow down. Because the thing is, he doesn't really have the cards in his hand, and his opponent has everything. So it's like, you could just drop Ragnaros into this. Yes, it can be answered. But I mean, I would like Alex Straza a lot here too. I feel like this is a pretty good turn for Alex Straza.
Yeah, this is one of those turns where you look at Alex Straza and you think to yourself, if I'm not playing it here, why is it in my deck?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this is such a good Alex Straza turn. It's like, you're going to get guaranteed 11 damage to the face off of it, even if he clears off that. I mean, it's really not.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty far ahead if he chooses to drop this Alex Straza. I mean, this game is all but in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, his opponent sitting with 3 cards in hand, I would be shocked to not see the Alex Straza.
I can see something like Dr. Boom and Acolyte coming out too. I think that's a fine alternative play. But again, this is probably just the most you're going to get.
Follow up with the Alex Straza before you obviously deal in
this is good. This is about the most you're going to get out of Alex Straza this game, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not what he's concerned with. I mean, he's got a Golden Warrior there. It shows he plays it a bunch. Yeah. What's that regular Dr. Boom though? I mean, come on, JustSaiyan, pick it up.
Yeah, seriously, man. Some of the cards in GBG, the Golden Animation is absolutely incredible. Some of the new ones are so good. I don't think I've actually seen Golden Dr. Boom yet. Or maybe I just haven't noticed the animation.
Chalky had one yesterday.
Did he? Okay, yeah.
The Thunders
Iron Juggernaut looked absolutely unreal, though. Like, the spinning blade looked so sick.
Picks up a Shield Slam. Not a bad answer to this, but again, these
you have
boom bots.
You have to deal with the boom bots. I mean, that's the thing. And it looks like he may just want to...
He's actually just going to pay more life here. And so this was sort of one of my concerns with not playing Alex Straza last turn, was that your opponent actually did have a direct answer to it, and now Alex Straza is not getting any. I mean, Dr. Boom got a ton of damage in there, but Alex Straza basically would have gotten the same amount of damage. Whether or not it would have forced your opponent to use as much, that's another story. That may have been what he was going for, is actually to try to absorb what's on the board because his hand's so strong that he can just fight through it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it would have forced out the execute, and I think that, paying the life total was actually really intelligent when you keep in mind that Alcatraz was very likely.
All right, looks like JustSaiyan's going to go for Ragnaros, and he's actually using a shield slam now, meaning he wants damage to the face. Ragnaros going to shred all of this armor. There's an execute on the other side of the board, but no actual development, and he picks up a Whirlwind. That's got to be one of the worst cards in his deck right now.
Down to 12 HP already. He is going to be able to answer the Rag, but I mean, the threats are not going to be ending here anytime soon. We still have the Alexstrasza in hand. He can obviously just use it on himself if he wants. Just get that body down there at this point. Still have the Sylvanas in hand as well. Just so much on the table here for JustSaiyan, and really, developing the cool Taskmaster is not much of a threat.
He's got to get something done.
Yeah.
He needs some work to be done, and of course, like we just said, he needs something really big, because JustSaiyan's hand is stacked to the brim still, even after this onslaught's come on. He even got the option to pick up more cards if he wants. So even if this storm gets weathered, he's going to have the card draw to back this up. Dart needs something, and he needs something right now.
And Sludge Belcher is really not it. I mean, Sludge Belcher is going to be helpful here, but he does not have enough armor to deal with this Alexstrasza. And I mean, things are starting to look pretty brutal here. We do have, the ability to draw a lot of cards here in hand for JustSaiyan. He can start to dig, see if he can find any really good answers. There's the Gromosh, though. He has the Task Gromosh ready now, so I mean, he just has to get through this haunt and prep for that. Sludge Belcher, pretty nice off the top, going to be able to help him.
Wow, that's even going to protect his Alexstrasza.
I mean, he will be able to actually kill it off with the armor up Shield Slam here. But then he's going to have no answer to the Gromosh. And I mean, with the Sludge Belcher that's going to come down, Sludge Belcher will answer the Ooze. If he doesn't get a big draw here, the game is going to be done.
Big Game Hunter, that might be big enough.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to allow him to perhaps, stay alive another turn. We'll have to see, though.
Yeah, almost certainly going to be Shield Slamming this Sludge Belcher. Just really no other option here. You can't let this chew away at your board. You've got to make do with what you got and really hope that you can get out of this situation.
And you need to keep alive right now. I mean, you can't allow a Gromosh to get through right to the face.
So much damage. But then if he extends too much, though, Brawl's not like a big deal right now. But even Brawl's a threat with this kind of board. You're just losing all of what you have. I mean, you're already working on a slim margin, and you're losing that on top of it. It's just everything going right for JustSaiyan this game.
So it will be the Shield Slam to answer, and I'm guessing he's just going to use the Cruel Task to finish it off. Yeah, of course. It is going to be the Cruel Task.
Still alive.
Yeah, it's
How
still
much
alive.
Longer? Wow, Whirlwind's even a fantastic draw right now for JustSaiyan because he's got an Acolyte in hand.
Yeah, he can Whirlwind execute go face if he even wanted, or he could just start to draw. I mean, there's a lot of options here. And I wouldn't mind just seeing him just start to dig a little bit. I mean, how do you feel about the Sylvanas even coming down?
I think it's good. It just, how do you move forward? Exactly, what's your sequencing here? What exactly do you want to do?
I mean, I think it depends. It depends if you feel like you need the extra card draws, but I mean, you could even Acolyte, Whirlwind, Cruel Task, clean up the board a little bit, get the draw.
You know what? The more I look at Sylvanas, the more I like it here because this is basically a 5/5 taunt. Mm-hmm. Like, if he's going to deal with this, he's basically going to have to run in all of his minions. Picks up an Acolyte, though, so now his Whirlwind isn't quite as dead of a card as it was before, but again, if he doesn't want this Alex to be getting any value, he's going to have to run everything into it or try to find a way to ignore this and move forward, which, working with what you got right here, maybe that's not the best of options.
No, I don't think it is, but at the same time, giving up your entire board and your entire hand just to develop an Acolyte and potentially draw something useful here is pretty brutal. So I think he's just feeling like he has to just try to ignore it, go face. He's going to take the risky move, and I mean, it's probably not going to work out for him here, but it's a hard call to make to just trade your entire board in just to develop an Acolyte. Then you don't even have a taunt down on the board. Gromosh can come down. I mean, it's pretty brutal.
It's tough to make do with what you got, and if you leave the Sylvanas up, Brawl even becomes more of a threat.
Yep.
At that point, both these players pretty deep into their decks. But my gosh, I mean, just what do you do? What is the right play? He's going to go with trading here, so this tells us a lot about what Dart's feeling right now. If he chose to ignore that Sylvanas, given your opponent's got 6 cards in hand, are you climbing out of that scenario? It feels so difficult to do.
Wow, it's actually going to hold on to the Whirlwind there.
I think he needs to save it too. He's going to need to use it with something like an Execute to really get it through. And this may be the open window now for JustSaiyan. His opponent's at 20, and he's got access to 12 damage this turn.
I feel like he could just go for it, honestly. I mean, the thing is...
And that's exactly what he's going to do. Gromosh hitting the board. Wow, he's actually... No, he's not. He's going to take out the Acolyte here. Wow, that seems like...
That is shocking.
Yeah, I am stunned by that. I thought for sure that he was going 12 to the face here.
Yeah.
Wow, and that extra card draw... Dart would have got it anyway, but he's got Dr. Boom and Sludge Belcher. Unfortunately for him, he can't play both this turn.
It's probably got to just be the Belcher. I mean, it has to be, but the thing is, it's like the Belcher doesn't really answer.
Know, man.
You can play Dr. Boom into this, but...
I kind of like Dr. Boom.
Yeah, I guess you're right. No, the more that I think about it, it should actually be Dr. Boom, because he's still at 20. There's not going to be an additional 10 damage coming in. When you think about the potential for it, there really isn't much more there. Yeah, I think because I mean the Belcher doesn't even answer it next turn, so it has to be Dr. Boom.
So he's got to drop Dr. Boom here, going up to 22. But man, JustSaiyan's hand is so stacked. He's still got everything. He's got an Execute, a second one now.
I feel like you just go face and then you can Whirlwind Execute that.
Well, he can also drop his Armor Smith and his Acolyte and hope to soak up these Dr. Boom hits too.
We'll see. He's not going to try to
He's
drop
not
the
playing
Acolyte.
Acolyte here. Maybe he just doesn't want the card draws.
2, 3. All right, so he does stay alive. He can execute this up, and a brutal position here as the armor total is climbing higher and higher. He is now at 34, make it 36 effective HP right now, going up against his opponent.
Second Acolyte.
Oh, brutal. I don't think he's drawn his Altraza or anything this whole game.
He really hasn't drawn much.
Hasn't drawn his Dromosh.
He's going to fish for
Alex.
Execute. I can't blame him.
Brawl.
It's a brawl. Oh my gosh.
Do you do it?
No, you got to drop the Sludge Belcher first.
Man.
You got to get the Sludge Belcher on board first.
You got to do it, man.
You need the Grommash to die.
Yeah.
And so
it would be so.
So if you drop the Sludge Belcher, you've now threatened Grommash in two ways. Of course, if he's looking at something like an Execute or like a Silence and an Execute and a couple points of damage, that's going to end the game. But how big of a risk can you take? If you brawl right here and you lose the brawl, you are going to lose the game.
It's just brutal. I mean, the thing is, I guess he just has to hold on and try to just play it out, see what cards he can actually draw. I would actually think it's awesome if he brawled, but I know it's a low percentage play for sure. But it's 50-50 taking a big risk, because the thing is, it's like if he actually won that brawl, his opponent doesn't really have a lot of cards left to kill him off. He's going to drop the Belcher, and I mean, if the Grommash does have to run into this, then he can finish it off with the Acolyte, but I mean, he's not going to have to.
Yep, got multiple threats on board for it. And look at this, he can actually deal 10 damage to his opponent if he wanted to. Because he could use Cruel Taskmaster Execute and then use that Fiery War Axe to chip away at this token.
That's what he's going to do, because he's going to have to answer the weapon and everything. There's almost no way he's going to be able to do that, so...
Oh my gosh, this brawl is going to be so important. Dart going to be down to just 2 HP, and he's got a brawl in his hand, but he needs to win it.
We'll see what he draws, too. I mean, jeez. This is just absolutely brutal here for him. And it's going to be a Sylvanas.
He can't do both. Away.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's got a brawl. Let's see.
Dart has to win this brawl or the game is over right now.
It's a 1 in 3 chance of it. I think he's coming to the conclusion. He could do it, though. And I mean, the thing is, really, JustSaiyan is running out of steam. If he actually is able to win this brawl, get an Alexstrasza down, he has the potential to come back in this game.
Oh my gosh, he's
all
got to do it.
He's mousing over it, man.
He's got it. There's no other option here. Dart right now is praying to RNGesus, hoping that things go his way.
All right, he's going for it.
33% chance to stay alive in this game and move forward. And it's not going to happen this time, and Dart is going to fall in game 1, and JustSaiyan's going to take a lead here.
Yep, it's going to be a 4-0 record in the tournament so far for JustSaiyan. He has been on a tear. JustSaiyan, on the other side of the coin, he has won 4 straight games now. He's been looking so strong, and I mean, if he were able to sweep his friend out here too, he'd be feeling damn good going forward, with a 6-0 record in the tournament. But we'll have to see what Dart has in store for him. I'm definitely excited to see what Dart is going to be bringing out next. And I mean, Dart has Mage, Warlock, and he has Warrior, and it's going to be the Mage coming out. And with the Arcane in there, I'm already kind of expecting it to be like a Freeze Mage type thing, and it's going to be Molten Giant. So it could be. Do you think it's going to be Echo of Medivh?
It probably is an Echo deck. Anytime you see Molten Giant in a deck like this,
probably going to be Echo.
I would anticipate Echo to be in here. One of the big swing turns you're looking for is to get an Ice Block on board. Play 2 Molten Giants, Echo of Medivh those Molten Giants, play 2 more Molten Giants, and sit behind an Ice Block.
Yeah,
that's what.
And we saw that yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those turns that's almost impossible to recover from. That's a tough turn, but this is a matchup that a lot of
With
people.
all this stuff.
This is a matchup a lot of people traditionally thought was really, really unfavored for Mage. But he's not playing a traditional freeze Mage deck. He's not looking to use Alex Strauza and then hope that he can fireball and ice lance his opponent to death afterwards. He's looking to leverage these giants. So this is a totally different game that he's playing.
Yeah, and
hopefully
armor is much less of an issue for this kind of deck, and that's why it was so hard for the traditional freeze mage.
Yep, because they could just go above 30. Going above 30 was really the key to that one, and then having the shield even past Alex Strauza. Before, this is way back in the day, actually shred armor if it was there, and that was like a major problem for a deck like Warrior. Warrior is actually like it lost to freeze mage then because Alex Strauza would deal 15 on the 30 life total, and then it would also pick away the 22 armor you had built. So
interesting that he is playing a Mountain Giant here as well. So he's going to be able to have the turn for a Mountain Giant. And I'm wondering if this is going to be something that JustSaiyan has played against a lot because they are two friends. I wonder how much they have changed their decks and stuff. Definitely expecting them to make some adjustments and everything going into these games against their friend because they have like going into a tournament where they could potentially play their friend, but at the same time, they might not have expected to actually meet each other in this tournament, so they may have actually been playing the exact same decks that they played against each other in practice.
Yeah, when you're playing against someone, when you're playtesting and often not a bad idea to throw in one or two cards to help tech the mirror match. If your teammates, maybe it's sort of an underhanded move to be doing something like that.
It's hard to know if you even will fight your friend in the tournament.
That's the trade-off for it, though. So if you feel like you and your friend are really good and you guys are going to get deep in this tournament, maybe one or two extra cards to kind of tech for that could help. But the more important thing I think is just knowledge of the lineup itself. It gives you an idea of how you should be leading against things. You have a lot of time to play through that scenario in certain situations where you necessarily didn't have that practice.
And I mean, as two guys who are coming through from the community qualifiers, do you really think that they're the kind of guys that would be just like looking forward to their next opponent? I mean, I think from my point of view, if it's someone who's just coming into their first kind of tournaments and things like that, probably just not really thinking about, what if I fight Dart in the next round? It's probably just, let's get the best possible decks I have most comfort with, and let's play those.
Yeah, I think a lot of times that would be the case. Knowing Dart, on a very acquaintance-style level, he's no stranger to Hearthstone stuff. This guy who gets Legend every season. He's played some Open Cups and stuff like that before. Hasn't had like a lot of invites or anything like that. And JustSaiyan, we were taking a look earlier. He's actually number 20 on the NA ladder right now.
Yeah.
So this guy really on top of things at the moment.
And it speaks to he's practicing a lot. I mean, yesterday he was number 50 or 60 or around there. When he was playing a series, he 3-0s and then he immediately just gets back to grinding the ladder, practicing up for today. You can see just how serious he's taking it.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, cash at stake here, reputation at stake. He's here to prove that he didn't get through there just on a fluke. And frankly, just looking at the numbers themselves, I don't think he had.
No, of course not. And I mean, we talked about how important this tournament is, not just for the prize money and not just for the glory, but for potential, perhaps get some interest from some teams.
Yeah.
You get a big finish in a tournament like this, and people are going to start taking notice.
For sure. Dart, though, kind of fighting an uphill battle at the moment. His Mountain Giant was dealt with straight away by this big game hunter. And he's picked up a lot of singular removal spells since then. This deck, obviously, it looks to me like it's more aimed at like sort of a mid-range deck with stuff like Flame Cannon.
And double explosive sheep in there as well, and stuff like that.
Looking to sweep out the board early and help stabilize. And I think again this matchup, again he's not like too terribly. He doesn't have his heart really set on making sure that he can get this game under control, but he's just going to Flame Cannon straight away here.
I actually kind of like that because Flame Cannon plus the hero power means he's going to kill Sledge Belcher, and Flame Cannon on the other side means he's going to kill the Armor Smith. So not too bad either way.
Making pretty good use of a card that otherwise I think just frankly isn't very good this matchup.
Yep,
doesn't do much versus Dr. Boom, and it does wonders versus Baron Geddon. But are you going to save a Flame Cannon from Baron Geddon? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I mean, the one concern I guess is just as the armor total starts to get higher and higher, and as a result, I think, you decide to use the Frostbolt there instead and keep his Sledge alive, be able to kind of push a little bit more damage, start shredding that armor up, because, you don't want the armor totals to get out of control, even though you can deal with it better, even with an Echo deck still. Giving a free Shield Slam kill on another 8/8 is pretty devastating. You've already lost one to a Big Game Hunter. There's two Exceeds you have to deal with. You can't afford to just give these easy answers to the Warrior.
And every time I see Dr. Boom, it just feels like it's better and better of a card.
I really am, truly feel it's clearly the best
just
legendary.
Look at this hand from Dart. How does he go forward from here? I mean, he's got Explosive Sheep to clear out these 1 health minions, but you're still facing down a 7/7 body afterwards. I mean, again, he can throw stuff in the way. He's got Sludge Belcher and things
How do
like
you
this.
feel about just Sylvanas here? Do we know what secret he got, by the way?
We actually don't have access to that. If we can get a hover over on that secret, that'd be great to see what he nabbed. I imagine it's probably Ice Block at this point. It wasn't Mirror Entity, it wasn't Counterspell, it wasn't.
What do you feel about Sylvanas? I mean, do you think that's just too scary to take that much damage right now?
Probably not. But is this where you want to be using your Sylvanas? Is really the question he's going to be thinking about.
Yeah.
I think he feels more inclined to actually dig for stuff that he needs. Is Sylvanas going to answer what's happening here? I think Twilight Drake is a pretty good pickup. Just going to absorb some damage, help things go from there. He's actually going to go with Explosive Sheep.
Yeah, just get rid of the 1/1s on the board. Get rid of the bombs before you play a minion into it, I guess.
Taunting up Explosive Sheep's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, not that he has to do that, but just giving the sheep taunt. How would that work, by the way? You think you'd be able to tell it was a mechanical sheep, and just not. And it's got like dynamite for ears and.
It's making
and
fun of your
snout.
mom and calling you mean names, and you just hit it anyway.
You're like, you know what explodes? You're going down.
Yeah.
And it just explodes in your face.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you not to play with Explosive Sheep. Thanks, Mom.
Mom.
Explosive Sheep was making fun of you.
Dr. Boom just not going to stand for it, man. So, I mean, already, though, the position looking pretty brutal, and it looks like he's just going to continue to push the damage forward. Doesn't feel like he needs to develop that Shield Maiden.
He isn't even going to swing with the weapon. He's just really biding his time. I
He
think.
just didn't even attack with the...
Yeah, I think what happens here is he's just looking to...
Just doesn't want to let him get those Molten Giants out.
Yeah, he just wants the game to go basically as long as possible, and I think his goal is to, at this point, it looks to me like his goal is just to kill everything that Dart has.
Yeah, I like Ragnaros here a lot.
Yeah, Ragnaros is gonna get shredded a lot by Shield Slam, Execute, and stuff like that. But you're gonna get pretty good value out of it, whether it hits his Doctor Boom or his face. So armor gets shredded down. If something like Shield Block or Shield Maiden isn't here,
he has
right? So
already.
from this perspective, it doesn't matter. But you're looking at it from Dart's side of the board. If he shreds that much armor, there's a likelihood it doesn't get Shield Slam. So just kind of unfortunate for him. Again, the range is in JustSaiyan's favor. But I wouldn't be surprised if he actually didn't attack, which he's going to choose not to do. So just as you said, he's very mindful of the fact that Molten Giant's in this deck list, and he's looking for one turn to pop this Ice Block on Dart, and then so that way he doesn't lose control of the board when he goes to that point. But Dart, man, he's got a lot of answers to keep this board staved off.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, he has a lot of cards in hand here. I'm sure he would have loved to fill out that Dr. Boom in retrospect, but he's not going to get the ability to do so. And another Shield Maiden possibly could come down here. Just continue to raise that armor total here. He may just decide to armor up as well. He's just been holding onto the weapons, holding the weapon charges. Not even going to attack with the Shield Maiden, even though it's at 1 HP. Just going to feel comfortable to give that up.
Just saying here, this is really exercising a lot of patience and really speaking a lot to his confidence in his
really
practice.
Intelligent play, actually.
Yeah, because it's not even necessarily that we know exactly that this is going to work. But the fact that he's playing so confidently and so deliberately with all of these plays, it shows that he has practiced this matchup a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the real thing is he feels like he needs a guaranteed way to finish off the game. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have his Grommash in hand yet. He doesn't have maybe the pieces to the puzzle that he's looking for here. Alex Straza coming out there.
I think he's going to keep waiting, though. I think he's looking for Grommash before he really tries to go for a big finish.
Well, I was just saying. I think he definitely wants to. I mean, this should just be a weapon plus Cruel Task here. Could be weapon, Cruel Task, and Baron, or just weapon, Baron. I like this a lot. Don't really want to kill it.
So again, some more threats on JustSaiyan side of the board. But how threatening is this to start field? Yeah, but here's the thing. He hasn't really been attacking your face with anything. Do you feel like you actually even need to kill this at this point? Your opponent has shown that he just really doesn't want to attack. I imagine if he's going to drop this Twilight Drake...
Flame Cannon is such a good answer to it, yeah.
Yeah, if he's going to drop Twilight Drake, he certainly is going to Flame Cannon, but it wouldn't have surprised me to see no removal this turn. Again, you just haven't been being attacked by your opponent. How worried are you?
Not too worried, but at the same time, I feel like you have to start getting something done. As the mage, you're talking about the position that the warrior is in. If the warrior is feeling confident to just basically win the game by killing all your minions, then I feel like you are kind of the one who's pushed to the point where you have to get a little bit aggressive.
Yep, that's a good point to make too. Like, how does Dart feel like he's getting pressured by the fact that JustSaiyan's being so patient in this matchup? Anytime your opponent is that confidently patient, it should kind of send off some alarm bells. And then here, no real good answer to this Twilight Drake. He's actually just going to
He
pass
had
the
the
turn.
executes though. I mean, he could have killed that off pretty easily. He
Yeah.
could have just hit the ooze, death rattle, and been able to execute it up that way. So he did have a good answer, but just decides not to use it. Maybe going to try to hold on and get a big value brawl here, see if the board gets flooded.
I'd like to see Dart not do anything here as well. Just use his hero power and pass it right back.
Yeah, no, I'd like that as well. I mean, I think with the amount of cards that your opponent has been holding in hand, you have to think that he has an answer, especially with the death rattle. Even if he didn't have like a whirlwind or anything, you have to feel like, okay, he probably has something here, and he's trying to get some more value from what he plays. And I think that Dart is intelligent enough to recognize that.
Really indicative, in fact, I think that these guys were in fact practicing a lot together too, because both of them really navigating these waters in sort of a peculiar way. I think that
it's not a very traditional game.
Yeah, if these players weren't familiar with each other, I think you would see a lot of different plays being made.
He didn't attack.
Yeah, he attacked with his guys,
and then he did first. Yeah,
and then just went ahead and pinged it off. So, Dart really kind of showing it right back. Now, at this point, when you're just saying, and you've decided you're going to go with this slow game, and Dart kind of he goes right there with you. He's like, all right, let's play a slow game. What are you feeling in a position like that?
I mean, I think that, he has to have the specific game plan. He's thinking to himself, okay, my win conditions are X, And I think that there's nothing really that has put him into the point where he's got to get too scared yet. He has answers in hand. He has a brawl. He has double execute. Brawl for Echo of Many, big turn like that. He has a double execute to deal with things like the Drake if he feels threatened. He has the Alex Straws if he wants to, use that aggressively or defensively. So, I mean, I think he's not too worried yet. And I think that we were right when we were talking about saying that he was waiting just for the Gromosh. And I think he wants to have it set up, have the Gromosh, have the brawl for that, maybe the Echo of Many turn, have all the answers and then go for it. And because his life total really isn't being threatened yet, I don't think he's feeling too concerned. I mean, he's even considering just not even executing this up yet. And he's going to actually decide to hold on to the weapon charge, I think, here, and use Cruel Task to execute instead.
Wow. This is a long
really
turn that he's taken here.
Yeah.
And
Really
again,
this
this sort of thought process, I think, stems from the fact that Dart was willing to be patient right along there with him. So, he took a few extra points of damage that maybe he didn't have to take, and it's a really small thing to get, but I think Dart got the better of him out of that sequence.
Yeah, I would agree. It does have a duplicate in hand that he's going to pick up now, so I mean, there's lots of answers right here in Dart's hand as well, but I mean, it's like there's not a great turn. I mean, what do you really play into this? You don't really want to drop your Sylvanas. You don't want to drop the Molten Giants without the Echo of Medivh if he is playing that. You want to be able to get that big swing turn. So there's not really a particularly strong turn here. I mean, it's like you have two Sun Furies, but you don't really want to play those yet either. And it's just going to be a hero power, and it's going to be a pass. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think he's going to
play
develop.
Sylvanas
I think
in
duplicating.
board.
I think playing this duplicate here so you can get a turn where maybe you're going to duplicate Sylvanas or Molten Giants now. Like, this is probably exactly what you're looking for.
Do you think he then just plays this? He'll play the Sylvanas next turn, perhaps?
Yeah, I think if he's playing duplicate now, his goal is to play a big minion next turn to really start to get the threat rolling because. JustSaiyan might even think that this is Ice Barrier at this point because he knows the other one's Ice Block. But again, with the practice that it seems like these two players had with each other, I think he has a really good idea that this is probably something like duplicate.
Yeah, and it's a very intelligent play. I mean, there's no point in dropping a Sylvanas into just like an easy answer there. So pretty straightforward, pretty smart stuff. Gonna be shield blocking up, gonna drop shield maiden, and I mean he's playing it out. For his game plan, he's playing it very intelligently. He drops enough to be threatening, not too much, so that he's then having to be worrying about some big AOE clear, some big value turn. I still think it's probably going to be the Sylvanas here. The only question to me is, does he actually try to clean up that shield main in a new way? Try to frostbolt that up or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he's too worried about it right now. I think he feels comfortable with his life total.
Yeah.
He's got two polymorphs in his hand, so he's got a lot to fend that off. If he gets too low, he's got Molten Giant. He's got a taunt to back it up. This feels like a turn where just Sylvanas.
Yeah, I think Sylvanas is just a great turn right here. I mean, if your opponent's going to kill it off, you're going to be able to get two copies of that back.
Yeah.
The interesting thing will be to me if the Sylvanas is just going to get ignored and he's just going to try to kind of go one step further.
That's a tough one to ignore, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It gives your opponent a lot of leverage in the development battle.
Yep.
Taunting up here too, probably something that Dart's not going to do because that gives JustSaiyan a chance to pop that duplicate on Sun Fury Protector instead of on Sylvanas. That's a situation I think he wants to avoid.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be Sylvanas hero power. Polymorph, perhaps. Okay. Let's think about it. So he's going to decide to
Wow,
frostbolt.
he's going to frostbolt.
That's what I was thinking. He maybe wanted to get that weapon charge out of the way, something like that. And then this way, I guess, well, now that he hero powered, he's not actually going to steal that. But, it's going to force it to die to the death rattle.
Yeah, I think the big point here is just to get 2 copies of Sylvanas. Yep. Like, your opponent is going to have to eventually kill this Sylvanas at some point.
Yep.
And while you have it out, it's very difficult for them to try to overdevelop.
How would you have felt, though, about instead of pinging it, just frostbolt it, leave it at 2 HP, so he hits you. If he hits you with the weapon, your Sylvanas dies, and then you steal the 5/1 Shield Maiden.
Well, I think that plays fine, but if you look at what's happening here, say he doesn't ping the Shield Maiden, his opponent just isn't going to attack Sylvanas. They're going to take 5 and then run the Shield Maiden into it next turn. So if he gets the Shield Maiden in check,
then the next turn you can obviously just kill it off.
Right.
It's just kind of like forcing you to have that additional.
So if he gets the Shield Maiden in check right now,
you kill it off anyway.
Yeah, JustSaiyan feels like he has a need to go ahead and kill the Sylvanas, which he's not going to do here. So he's going to start taking 5 a turn from this. And again, this Sylvanas, it's difficult to develop into this. Like, you can't play Ragnaros into this. You can't play Alex Straza. You're not going to play Grommash into a turn where your opponent has Sylvanas on the board and they can just steal your guy. So this Sylvanas is going to start dealing 5 damage a turn until JustSaiyan until he decides he needs to duplicate this Sylvanas. I think Dart set this up very good.
Yeah. It's such a mind gamey match that we have here. You know, like there's both players are just passing their turns back and forth, just saying, "No, you do something. No, you do." It's kind of like
that chess match where both guys are just kind of moving the knight back and forth. And
yeah. And I don't think he's going to play anything. I think there's no reason to kind of be the one to blink.
I don't have a problem with playing Twilight Drake here, because even if that gets duplicated, I mean, you still are getting 2 4/7s out of the deal.
Yeah.
That's something else that's threatening. He also has to worry about his mana considerations. Like say the Twilight Drake does get duplicated, he can play 2 of those. If Sylvanas gets duplicated, he can only play 1 in a turn. So maybe he has to be a little bit concerned with development. Still going to press the issue here. And again, JustSaiyan doesn't have a chance to really develop this Ragnaros this turn.
No.
Unless he wants to execute on this Twilight Drake, or just leave the Twilight Drake on the board and execute the Sylvanas.
You could just hit the Sylvanas, and then it'll die to the weapon plus the death rattle.
But then he's duplicating the Sylvanas, which I think is what he's trying to avoid right now.
Yeah.
He's kind of been backed into a corner, and right now he's between a rock and a hard place. Like, do you want to duplicate 2 4/7s? No. Do you want to duplicate Sylvanas? No. Like,
but at some point, he has to just make a move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's gonna have to accept it. So, I mean, I almost feel like at this point you have to just give him the Sylvanas, but we'll have to see what he wants to do. You could Cruel Task, execute, the Drake up, something like that. But I mean, you could also use the weapon charge and execute. But then, you give him the double duplicate of that. The Sylvanas is still on the board, and it's like, it's pretty rough.
This is a really tough spot to be in.
Yeah, I think it's like a couple of kind of losing decisions here.
And he's just going to pass the turn and take 9 more damage. Dart is getting a lot of value out of the Sylvanas right now.
Now, I feel like, to me, it's like, now what, if JustSaiyan's not going to kill it that turn, I don't get what he's waiting for.
I think he's just looking for more options, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he feels
What's
like
the
his
option you think he's going for, though?
Well, it looked like Sludge Belcher. He was pretty happy to draw this Sludge Belcher now. So I think what he's looking for is he wants this Sylvanas to not be the one that gets duplicated, but he wants it to not get extreme value either. So, he's looking for a turn where he doesn't have to expend too much of his hand to try to kill one or the other. And this might be the turn he was looking for. So, for instance, next turn he can execute this Twilight Drake should Dart choose to attack here. If he doesn't attack, JustSaiyan's going to have to...
now in hand.
Yeah, JustSaiyan's going to have to find a way to make an option out of this, but I mean, I don't think his sacrifice is necessarily a poor one here, but it's just, gosh, it hurts to be taking that much damage from these cards while you're not really getting anything done.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
This feels like not a bad turn to play Alex Straza.
Yeah. I guess the only threat is just a brawl, so I mean, I think that's probably why he's not.
Yep, he's just going to continue to be patient with it.
I like that, and I mean,
just saying,
it's not like he's not bumping your life total yet, so I don't think there's like any big pressure to deal with it. So I actually like not playing it more that turn. Force your opponent to deal with what you've already established on the board. Once they deal with that, establish a new threat, and that's kind of the way that they're going for it.
God, this has been a tough game for JustSaiyan. I'm racking my brain right now trying to figure out exactly what he could have done to really get out of a position like this. And now he's found Grommash to go along with that Alex Straza. This may be a sequence of turns where he decides he wants to make a push, but again...
And we still have double taunters sitting in there. We have, the duplicate already up, a second duplicate. We have Alex Straza. There's a lot of answers, a lot of ways for his opponent to stay alive. And he still has to deal with these massive threats that are down on the board. I mean, are you just going to give him your Armor Smith if you kill off this Sylvanas? And at the same time, I mean, do you want to start expending executes here? Do you want to execute the Drake up? You can execute the Drake up and then trade in your Armor Smith and then kill it off. But there's a lot of kind of tough choices.
Yeah, here's something he may have been looking for too. Is he may have been looking for a turn where he can duplicate and actually burn a card from his opponent. And wow, he's going to continue to wait.
Wow.
And Dart again gets 5 more damage out of
How many
Sylvanas.
cards are actually in his hand now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's got 9 in hand right now.
9,
So
yeah.
maybe this is the turn he's looking for, where his opponent doesn't feel comfortable playing anything, and so this duplicate not going to give him 2 copies of something. That could have been something else he was looking for. All this damage, all this life that he's paid has led to a point where he's trying to get
drop
something
the
extra.
Archmage. Okay, he was thinking about it for a
Not
second.
going to drop it. So when duplicate gets popped here again, Dart not going to get 2 copies of something because he's got 9 cards in hand. That's going to burn his draw for the turn as well. This may have been what JustSaiyan was paying all of that life for this entire time.
And all of that life, we say, is he's sitting at 29 HP with 10
Yeah,
armor.
but
Yeah.
that's just sort of the warrior versus mage matches. They are going to get a ton of value from this.
If he's going to drop the Harrison, he's not going to kill it.
Yeah, really curious why he would choose to do it in that order.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that Dart really has to start taking into consideration is the fact that all these cards can start getting burned. So, I mean, next turn has got to be the turn he's going to play it. So he is going to drop the Harrison and just pass. So
Continuing to pay more life is JustSaiyan. But Dart's got 10 cards in hand, and what of this hand do you want to play? I mean, it looks like you can just trade this Twilight Drake in. And now, again, JustSaiyan with his back against the wall, I imagine... I mean, I don't have a problem dropping the Archmage here either.
yeah,
Just going to go with Molten Giant, though, and then JustSaiyan, again, he's in a position where... Which one of these do you want to duplicate? Again, it's just... Your opponent's only going to get 1 copy of this, and you are going to burn a card at this point. Is this exactly what he was looking for? So it looks like he's finally going to go for this.
and he is going to execute up the Molten Giant. Almost
My
guaranteed.
gosh, what amount of time to wait. He paid so much life, Again, how much did it cost him? At the end of the day, he's still at 31. But
Yeah, I mean, he only is going to get the one copy of it as opposed to the 2. We'll see what he's actually going to have to discard here. What card gets burned, because that could be key as well. I mean, if it's an important card coming down, that could be problematic.
wow, I think JustSaiyan has played this extremely well.
Ice block.
Ice Block gets burned. That could be a really important one, too.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, especially when he has the kind of combo in turn. And I mean, if you can actually live to that second turn and have the second ice block, that can be huge. And burning that ice block was massive. So I mean, it's now kind of putting him in a bit of an awkward position.
Wow, I just can't believe he paid this much life and that he accomplished exactly what he wanted to. He basically negated the value from duplicate, and he burned a card from his opponent.
I'm wondering if Echo is even in the deck at this point.
I think it's got to be. It seems. I mean, it feels like to me like the deck is just built to take advantage of.
So do I.
Maybe only 1 copy or something,
Yeah.
but
Do you think this is just a rag turn?
I don't.
No.
And I don't think so because
Just start drawing with Cruel Task
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
think
and
you can just
you
continue
could kill
to
it
kill.
out with a Shield Slam plus Cruel Task on your Acolyte and kill it, or you could pay the life as well if you decide to do that.
yeah.
Definitely going to be thinking through his options, and hasn't always been the traditional one, so it's looking like it is going to be that. I'll be interested to see if he is going to do the Cruel Task road, or if he's just going to pay the life. It's going to be just paying that life.
Wow. Still not going to use Cruel Taskmaster. Starting to chip away. Wow,
Out of
Dart's
cards.
almost out of cards.
He is out of
Oh,
cards.
he is out of cards. What the heck?
Yeah, so he has no Echo of Medivh in his whole deck.
Dart has to now make do with what he's got, and look at his hand. The 2 Taunters, not very important. Duplicate, could be of importance. Mad Scientist, basically dead. Explosive Sheep. I mean, he's really working with a Sylvanas and Archmage, and Alexstrasza, a Duplicate, and 2 Polymorphs.
How do you feel about just Archmage duplicate this turn?
The Archmage duplicates, he's going to end up with 9 cards in his hand. And if Archmage gets killed, he'll go with an Archmage in his hand. He's not going to get a card burned, but then he
And
only
it's
gets
almost-
1 copy of
yeah.
Archmage back. I think he's got to empty his hand of like all these.
Just drop your Explosive Sheep, drop your Mad Scientist, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think Sylvanas is here is fine, but I think you want to get this Mad Scientist and your Sunfury Protector kind of out of your hand and try to make the most of it from there.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm really curious to see how many cards are actually left in the hand of the warrior, as well, not in the hand, left in the deck. And the fact that, I mean, when we look at duplicate, the fact that, 1 Sylvanas got burned, the second Ice Block got burned, that's actually really important. Imagine if we had that second Sylvanas right now. When you're down to no cards, it's extremely important. And the Ice Block as well is massive in this stage of the game.
He's going to go with Sylvanas and duplicate. I actually really like this point of development too, because your opponent's in the exact same situation they were earlier, where they feel like they don't necessarily want to develop at this point, but Dart's out of cards, so Icebox's not going to protect him from fatigue damage. So if he actually gets down to 1, and then every turn after that, it's just whatever the fatigue number is going to be. So when he's taking 2 fatigue, if he gets down to 2, 3, etc., he's going to die the turn he goes into that. So JustSaiyan doesn't actually have to kill his opponent; he just has to put him in fatigue range.
Yeah. Now, the question to me here is how many cards does he have? Because the thing is, do you actually want to draw here? Because I mean, you have an answer with Whirlwind, trade in the Acolyte, hit with your weapon. But the thing is, do you want to give the duplicates? Do you want to really, even be drawing at this point if there's not really a lot more to draw?
I think he's just going to go for the fatigue play. I think he's just going to go to put him at an extremely low life total and go from there. I mean, that's what his impression was when he grabbed that.
I mean, he has the potential to do 12, 13, 16 damage this turn.
It's not enough, though. I mean, if that happens, he's going to be able to Alexstrasza right back up and then potentially steal the Grommash from him.
That's the most damage he could do.
Wow, that's what he's going to go for, too. He's going to put Dart down to just 2, and he's going to go to 1 from fatigue, but he's got Alexstrasza in his hand to stay alive.
Wow, so he is down to 2 HP here. And fatigue's on there. Not going to pop that. Let's see.
I mean, Alexstrasza's got to come out this turn or he's dead.
He's got to trade it in. I mean, it's going to be key, too, seeing what he steals here.
I mean, he needs to steal his Grommash.
Yeah.
He's got to steal the Grommash because he's got to be able to play Alex.
What a crazy game. This is absolutely insane, man.
Wow, another 33% chance here from Dart. He takes the right target!
He gets it, and he's going to be able to drop the Alexstrasza, and that has got to be heartbreaking for JustSaiyan, but he's not out of it just yet. He's going to go face down to 15. Let's see what answers he had. Does he have the balls to brawl here? What does he do? I mean, we don't know what's left in his deck still. Alexstrasza's not an answer. Ragnaros is I mean, he can kill off the Grommash. He can drop his Rag. I think that's going to be what his play is. Sylvanas as well.
He's almost out of cards. That means he's got 1 card left in his deck as well.
It's going to be Rag. And it's key if he does hit this, the duplicate comes out. So
Wow.
he has
Grommash gets duplicated.
If he doesn't hit the Alexstrasza, he loses.
Oh my gosh, a 50-50 chance for JustSaiyan to stay alive this turn.
Let's see if he gets it.
And he misses the target, and Grommash in ping from Dart is going to end this game on a duplicated Grommash that he stole from his opponent.
What an
Azael, I cannot believe it. In fatigue damage, behind an ice block, Dart stays alive and ties up the series at 1-1.
That was ridiculous. This is one of the most high-level games I think I've ever seen, and this is between our 2 open qualifiers.
This game already underway. We've seen shielded Minibot being coined out here on turn 1, and like you said, he 3-0'd with this deck yesterday, so definitely a strong deck. But we're gonna have to see what goes on. Dart, we're waiting to get his speed from his side of it. So
we will get invited up to that as soon as possible, so we can get that side of things. And going to be really interested to see how this one plays out. This is, really the only. Do you think there's much thought being put into this by JustSaiyan as far as saying, not revealing the last deck just yet? Maybe it's a bit of a curveball. Warlock coming out last is kind of that anchor deck we talked about, having the potential to get the most wins, against the most different decks. We saw Faramir with the reverse 3-0 sweep with his hand lock yesterday.
I don't really think so. I think that what he's just saying here about playing this, that he just believes that this is the stronger deck against this matchup. He doesn't strike me as someone who's really going to kind of try to conceal that information as long as he possibly can, especially when Dart likely already knows what's going on. Again, that last game was so indicative of the fact that these guys had practiced this matchup a lot together to really see what was going on.
Yeah, and we don't know what's in his hand, but I was going to say, pinging off that shield, very important. Recognizing the threat of the Blood Knight, but piloted Shredder is a great turn as well. So although he does lose the ability to do that, it's not too bad. Piloted Shredder being developed is always going to be a strong option.
A lot of pressure on board already, just from a few points of mana. Sludge Belcher going to help shut this down, but True Silver Champion here.
It's just such a strong answer to it. I mean, True Silver plus just trading in your 1/1 token, you can clear this up very easily. think that's certainly got to be the answer here. So, if you guys are just joining us, it is tied up 1-1. We are here in round 1 of the quarterfinals, Dart versus JustSaiyan. Our two local qualifiers, they made it through the first round. They played in the open qualifier. These two friends now battling it out to see who makes it to the semifinals. One of them going to be guaranteed to make it into the top 4, playing for that $3,000 prize pool. Pretty awesome storyline. You know, your couple buddies playing with Hearthstone. This could be you guys coming out here competing. I mean, these are just a couple of friends playing some Hearthstone, got through the qualifier, now playing in the quarterfinals of a major tournament. One of them guaranteed at least top 4 in this tournament.
Yep. Look, still trying to wait to connect here to Dart's side of it. Apologies, we don't have that hand up, but he's got to invite us into this game so we can spectate it. A few kinks that maybe need to be worked out on.
Yeah, with the spectator.
Yeah, the spectator client.
It would be nice if there was something like where it was like you could give permanent permissions.
Yeah.
To like a trusted friend, or to, like, in this case, a tournament admin gets a permanent permission to be able to join your game. Because people, high level players obviously don't want people just hopping in and spectating at any time. Checking out their deck list if you're practicing for a tournament. So it definitely makes sense to to not be able to just hop in there at any time. But at the same time, for a tournament, it would be definitely nice to have that.
Where do you go from here? I mean, Harrison Jones looks like it's not too bad of a play. I don't think you're going to be killing any weapons this game with Harrison. Maybe that's just me.
Mustard, though. And
Mustard definitely threatens Quartermaster here.
Yeah, big time.
He doesn't have it just straight away, but Dart doesn't know that. I think if you saw Mustard for battle in a position like this, Quartermaster's got to be on your mind.
Oh, of course. It's always on your mind, man.
Yep.
I mean, 4 3-3s coming down on the board would be horrifying.
Not the best turn for
And
you.
it could be actually 5, because the next turn, he could do the hero power plus Quartermaster.
Yeah, he does have Flame Strike in this deck, though.
Yep.
So when he
Which would
pings
be a
off
great
this
answer.
Piloted Shredder, not to indicate anything from there, he actually picks up Iron Beak Owl
Pretty terrible.
from it. Second Sludge Belcher coming down, and of course, that got duplicated earlier in this game, so he's got another copy of that too.
Not a great turn here, really. Just going to have to start trading in.
Yeah, I think he's just willing to pay life at this point pretty easily because he's got anti-heal-bot, and
Yeah.
like you said, he's just having to invest so much into killing off this Sludge Belcher, really staving off the turn from a...
If I wasn't playing against a deck that I knew had Alexstrasza in it, because I don't have a lot of good plays here, I would probably just play the anti-kill bot. But because I'm playing against an Alexstrasza deck, I feel like I would, I favor the Harrison here, because you want to hold on to the anti-kill bot. I mean, if you can actually, say the Alexstrasza comes down, you can get a polymorph on the Alexstrasza and anti-kill bot back up, that can really shut down a lot of the plays that the mage is trying to make.
Yeah, for sure. Just going to continue to ping, and looks like this is likely to be Flame Cannon.
Oh, very nice. Really the best answer that you'd have. And I mean, it's kind of scary to play Tyrion into this without any polymorphs having come out, but he hasn't really drawn the threats that can bring that out. This is pretty nice. This could actually draw the first
That's a
polymorph.
really strong draw right now. This is sort of the benefit of playing Blood Knight in a deck like this, is in these grindy matchups. All these 1/1 and 1/2 Divine Shield minions you're playing are going to get a lot of good value out of this. Like, he's got a 6/6 on the board.
Yeah, and that's something that could draw out a polymorph, which could open up the ability to play your Tyrion next turn.
Yeah, we saw Dart doesn't have Fireball or anything like that in here. He's playing strictly on Giants and trying to get a lot of value out of duplicates.
Has the double poly. I think I don't know if he had 2 flame cannons or he had 1.
2 Flame Cannons and a 1 Flame Strike, I believe.
Yep. Had the frost bolts in there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he's going to read this. We don't know exactly what answers he has for the Blood Knight. But if he does have poly, is he trying to hold on to that? Because obviously Tyrion is just so punishing. If you have to deal with Tyrion plus the death rattle from the Tyrion, it's just something you never want to have to deal with, and that really can just get out of control from a paladin if you don't have an easy answer to it.
Flame Cannon also just not an answer here.
No,
like it's not going to hit this Blood Knight 100% of the time.
Sylvanas,
Yeah,
okay.
this is usually a pretty good answer to board development like this when you're not feeling a lot of pressure in terms of actual damage from your opponent. Paladin doesn't have a ton of burst, so not too worried about the fact that...
I kind of like just Peacekeeper here.
I don't mind Peacekeeper here either, but he's got to think about how he makes the best of this.
Yeah, and he also still has to worry a lot about those giants and everything. So
Yep, doesn't want to get him too low, and we saw that was something he did in the Warrior match. He didn't want to put him in Molten Giant range ever.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess at the same time, it's not really a bad turn to just finish it off, because it's like, when are you going to have a better turn to finish it off? You could just drop another token, run in your guy, and you have the ability to kill it off with your weapon if you want, but he is just going to decide to Peacekeeper, and that means he's ignoring it.
How safe do you feel hero dropping Sylvanas? Not at all.
Not really.
Okay.
think it's tough.
Putting him down to 15. And, trying to pose as much of a threat as he realistically can. But, again, this deck from Dart, he's got a secret up right now. We don't know exactly what it is. It could be Ice Block or it could be Duplicate. But, judging by these attacks, I don't know. It feels to me like it's going to be Ice Block here very often with the way that he's playing this.
Yeah.
And going to have to figure out a way to start answering this board, too. Ragnaros is what it's going to be, and this hit is pretty important, I'd say.
Definitely wanting to hit this 6/6. We'll see if he's going to get it. No,
Goes
he's going to go
straight
face.
for the dome, and JustSaiyan could not be more thrilled about that. He's got so much healing in his hand, but how does he deal with
if he
Ragnaros
Argus here,
right
he could
now?
actually force just Ice Block right now. Or no, no, never mind, he can't. I lied. But, I mean, Sylvanas is such a good answer to this. It's like, do you think you just drop Sylvanas, keep going face? Do you Argus too? I mean...
If you drop the Sylvanas, there's a risk that your opponent steals your Sylvanas with theirs.
That's true.
So he's got to figure out a way to
Wow,
make
he's
sure
actually
that
a
things
ton
get
of-
done.
Wow.
Yeah, he wants his Sylvanas to die before anything else, and this board tension is getting really high at the moment.
The problem with this is though, I mean, I guess if the Rag hits it, it's going to be very scary, but at the same time, you can, like you said, you can trade in your Sylvanas to your opponent's Sylvanas. That's why I don't think you should have taunted it up.
Wow, this is a tough position. Well, he can trade the Sylvanas into anything, regardless of what got Defender of Argus here.
Well, he wouldn't be able to do it yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because anything's going to get plus 1/+1 from it. So Polymorph,
Polymorph is huge.
going to make sure that that's not an answer to it. And I don't know exactly what Dart's going to end up doing here. Frostbolt, he's cleaning out this board. It looks to me like he really, really wants to put on the heat. He's going to steal this Blood Knight, in fact, and 8 damage from Ragnaros
Wow.
is going to go straight to JustSaiyan's face.
Still has a lot of healing potential in his turn, but I mean, if he decides to use the Land Hand Sex turn, he's not going to be developing anything.
He's got to figure out a way to deal with this Ragnaros and heal up this turn. Blood Knight's not going to do it. And even if he draws 3 cards off of this, he doesn't have access to an equality combo. He'd have to pay 8 more life to finish off Ragnaros at
Yes,
this point.
on hands. I mean, you could drop the anti-Kill Bot, but the anti-Kill Bot shouldn't be killed off. If there's a Flame Strike or anything, that would be the end of the game. It's such a tough turn.
How does JustSaiyan win this game through this board position? He's got to fend it off, and he's got to not die at the same time, and he's got to develop his board, because Dart, he's got to have answers in his hand to really get this taken care of, and he's just going to try to fill up the board and hope this
If
gets
there's
it
a
done.
Flame Strike, that's it, man, because he can Flame Strike ping face. Yeah.
Does Dart have a way to clear out this board position? If he does, he's going to win this game and take a 2-1 lead.
Let's find out if he does have that Flame Strike. That would be key here.
And he's got it.
So that is going to be the game. Exact lethal going to be coming in as the Blood Knight's going to go face, the ping goes face, the Ragnaros to finish it off. Dart's going to take 2 straight and secure a stranglehold on this series. He's up 2-1 now, and JustSaiyan will have to reveal that Warlock deck. And we are going to be getting on into this next game, though, so that is enough of that. And we will see it's going to be a hand lock, you can tell right away, with the Draxus, Siphon Soul, and Ancient Watcher in hand there from the mulligan.
Right away, pretty good cards from both
And we
of
do
these
have
players.
a mage view this time. So.
Acidic Swamp Ooze
Wow.
is in this deck.
Wow. That's a card we saw a ton at BlizzCon. Actually, in the BlizzCon pre-week, we saw a lot of oozes, a lot of Harrisons, a lot of kind of like anti-weapon type stuff. And I mean, we haven't seen it really at all. This is the first ooze I think we've seen in the tournament so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was seeing it a lot back then, and not too shocked to see it added in here.
Does this throw Dart off here when he turn 1 coins this Acidic Swamp Ooze? Does he maybe think this is Zoo?
Have you ever seen an ooze in Zoo?
That's the thing, though, is like, have you ever seen an Ooze in Handlock? Like, how often do you see that? It's pretty rare on
Very
both
rare.
sides of the board, but when he coins it out turn 1, this could very easily be a Zoo deck with just a pretty poor starting curve.
It's possible, but I think for me, I'd probably still think it's handlock. Just because I have seen it in that kind of a deck before, but
Now the jig is up. You know that he's playing Ancient Watcher Zoo.
he's playing Ancient Watcher Wailing Soul or whatever Zoo do. That's the real new meta.
Actually, I'm really surprised he chose not to just life tap that turn.
Maybe wanted to kind of feign some aggression, or perhaps was hoping to draw into an owl, something like that.
Second Twilight Drake here from Dart, and Dart is going to have some pretty good pressure moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean we don't really see that turn 4 threat in the Warlock's hand right now. And it's a
Wow,
hand lock, so
that's-
it's not going to be a traditional
That is a
hand
bit
lock.
of a game changer. That's a signal of what's going on here. This is definitely going to be a little bit
Will
more
he actually
demon.
draw Jiraxis? How does that work?
Jiraxis just won't get the battle cry. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll put Jiraxis into play.
Wow.
So Dart now,
Oh, so it would just be put into play as a minion.
yeah, it's just a 315.
Oh my god. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, it's happened to me a bunch of times. Every time I kill Void Color, whether it's Arena, whether it's Construct,
It's just always
it's just
Jiraxis.
always Jiraxis or Mal'Ganis.
Ooh, Iron Beak Owl comes out. That is definitely a pretty handy card to have.
But a lot of pressure again on Dart's side of the board. He's got 8 power and 14 health with the minions out already.
I guess the question is also, do you even want to draw that Jiraxis right now? Like, do you even want it out on the field as a 315?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good
I don't
question.
know that you do. I mean, with the potential for it to just get polymorphed and stuff, I feel like having it later in the game could be scary. It could be like better. So I mean, it's like I don't know if he even wants to trade this in here. I don't know if he wants to draw the demon, or if there's something else that he's looking for, because we don't know exactly what this deck is now. I mean, I feel like he might just taunt up and go face and try to keep this this alive. Wouldn't actually surprise me. Oh, but he's going to trade it in. So, I mean, if he trades it in, he could taunt up at 315. And if there isn't a polymorph, then it's a great way. But
I'd be pretty surprised if Jiraxis didn't hit play this turn.
yeah, he's thinking about it.
315's tough to deal with.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a lot of gas you got to spend on that.
Polymorph deals with it pretty nicely, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have that.
I think it's a risky one at this point.
Yeah, there it is, man. Jiraxis out on the battlefield.
Just a good old 315. Just a 315.
Can that be summoned from Sneasel's Shredder too? I guess it must be able to. If you get it from Sneasel's Shredder, would it turn your hero into Jiraxis?
Battle
or is
cries
this-
only happen if you play them
Yeah,
from your
okay.
hand.
So
Yeah.
it would just be down there, yeah. Pretty hilarious. He's just chilling, man.
It's ready to just attack for 3.
Yeah.
You can't get Harrison either. That's a pretty good feeling for him.
Yeah.
Dart looks like he's ready to start chipping away at this Jiraxis, though.
Yeah. And I mean, Dart has a pretty nice hand. I mean, he has a pretty like.
He's just gonna go straight for Faye. I like it, man. Get that
Really,
damage in while you
anti-heal
can.
bots in there and stuff. So this is one of the things is, I mean, if you can get that turn where you get your free giants out and then you heal up with the anti-heal bots and stuff like that, we've seen a lot of strength in that. And I mean, you know, I don't know if there's really any need for him to develop the extra ancient watcher here. I kind of prefer this.
Stunting up Jiraxis. This is something you don't see every day.
Oh wow, flame strike is pretty nice out the top there.
Actually, doesn't really get that much done. I mean, Jiraxis
It doesn't, but
15
still,
health.
I mean, it's definitely starting
He
something.
needed a polymorph, really.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is,
without Poly, it's pretty brutal.
this has got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't actually have a way to kill Jiraxis at the moment, and even if I kill Jiraxis, my opponent's still alive.
It's kind of like just a Drake on steroids, man. I mean, it's the thing is, it's like you feel so terrible when you're forced in that position where you have to pay like 9 damage or something to kill off a Drake, right? This is even worse. It's like the absolute worst is when you finally have it really low. Like you're playing Shaman, right? You get like a 9 Drake down to like 1 HP, and then you draw the Air Shock, and you're just like,
What have I done?
curse you.
What have I done?
Yeah, exactly. Get Draxus down to 1 HP, and then he draws the Poly. Oh man.
God, what are you worried about here if you're Dart? I mean, this has been a
Everything.
pretty heavy scaling here from JustSaiyan so far. I mean, you got to be worried about stuff like Siphon Soul, and of course, Giants are always going to be on your mind. He's going to go with Archmage and Tinnitus right off the bat, and
Not
hope
gonna
that there
touch the
isn't a way to
attack
deal
either.
with it.
There is that Siphon Soul, and I mean, I think it's a clear Siphon Soul this turn. I don't think you want him to be able to start drawing fireballs from that.
I think he's going to look to see if maybe Shadow Flame's a better potential turn, but maybe even developing Lotheb is something that's better. It's hard for your opponent to really cast a spell
Yeah,
when they
that's
all
true.
cost 5 more.
Very true. Well, it's obviously not going to be. It's going to
it's
be
gotta be
Lotheb then, yeah. So with that tap, he's going to decide to go for this, and
lot
just
of
going to
pressure
continue going face. It's going to have him down to 19 HP, and as you said, not really going to be able to cast anything.
there's that
Oh my
polymorph.
God! Now there's a polymorph.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
He does have some taunts of his own, but again, he's just really not getting any value off of this Archmage unless he chooses to Frostbolt. And if he chooses to Frostbolt here,
I actually don't mind this though. I mean,
Yeah.
Frostbolt ping the Lotheb, poly the Drax's next turn, finish off the Lothab next turn with the ping. Like, oh, you can't actually. You can't.
Yeah, I think he's just looking for like a turn where he can actually flame strike something. But just saying, man, really all the options on his side of the board at this point. And that Dark Bomb, a pretty good one. He can Shadow Flame and clear this board up if he wants to. He could get this Molten Giant developed. He's got a lot of options at this point. And that was really, I think, the bigger story coming into effect last turn when he wanted to play Lothab, is he wanted to tap a couple more times to get himself to a point where Molten Giant isn't going to cost him anything.
Yeah, so this will be a pretty interesting turn here. He's going to go for the Molten Giant. And is he going to Shadow Flame up this Molten Giant? Yeah, he is. So he's just going to decide to Shadow Flame the Molten Giant just for the free clear. And duplicate. So it is actually double Twilight Drakes.
Those aren't very good right now, though. And Jirax is still a 315.
I mean, he's forced to polymorph here, I feel like.
Gosh,
but you can flame strike, but then you're gonna have to still deal with the Draxus. You flame strike a Draxus down to 11 HP, like
Yeah, he's gonna have to polymorph.
He's got to polymorph. But at the same time, I mean, my guess is going to be polymorph, explosive sheath ping.
You could taunt at the mad scientist too.
How do you feel about polymorph explosive sheath ping?
I think it's fine.
I kind of like that. I like that the most here because you get rid of the Lothab.
You really want the secrets out too, though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be this. You may
taunt at the mad scientist next turn, maybe.
Yeah, I like this. Gets rid of the Lothab, gets rid of most of the damage. I think that was the good play there. So
14 all is the life total right now, but I have to think that JustSaiyan's got a pretty significant advantage right now. Just given the fact that he's
one Molten Giant's already gone.
Yeah.
The Jiraxus, we have to remember, is not going to be coming out. It's not going to be that infernal hero power, which is so brutal to deal with. So some of the threats are gone. The Twilight Drakes are gone. One Molten Giant is gone. Jiraxus is gone. He still has 3 more Giants, I guess, left in his deck.
Yep. Plus the potential for something like maybe even Ragnaros.
Yep.
In this build.
For that in there. Hasn't drawn any of that stuff just yet, though.
How worried is he about his own life total? I mean, he's seen that there's no fireballs in here, but he knows that Dart's got 1 fireball so far. But one of the Frostbolts is gone too, so
he basically saw the whole. He did see the whole deck.
Yeah, he's only worried about 9 points of direct or 10 points of direct damage right now.
Both Frostbolts were used, I think, already.
Have both of them been used? So he's only worried about 7 damage.
Or at least 1 was used.
Zombie Chow gets picked up. Yes, this deck is like
weird.
I feel like it might just be like handlocked with a couple void colors in here. Sometimes you just want Jiraxus to be a 315 minion. I think it's fine.
Yeah, but it worked out great this game. I mean, how do you feel about just Flame Strike Ping?
I don't know if there's enough on the board to really worry about that.
Not worried about your life total with no secret up?
Well, I mean, he can taunt up these 2 Twilight Drakes now. It's just a matter of what he's concerned with. I don't think that he suspects too much direct damage coming from his opponent.
So it's going to be Mad Scientist and a Drake taunted up. Or maybe just
I don't think he's going to taunt. I think he's just fine taking damage.
Well, I mean, let's look. There's 10 potential damage already in hand. He can silence his Watcher, Dark Bomb, and attack. I mean, that puts him at 2 HP.
Yep. I mean, that may be something he's looking to set up, but at the same time, Dart's still got Flame Strike in his hand, so if he goes too far, he can get punished for it. Dr. Boom comes up, but he's only at 10. Like, again, is he worried about the amount of damage that can come from the other side of the board?
It's got to be. I mean, at 10 HP with Fireball in hand there, some other potential damage as well.
Like, when you're sitting here and having to navigate through all these small situations, at some point, there is something you are going to forget. And just the fact that he's played against Mage so many times, and you're always thinking about 2 Fireballs and a Frostbolt, like, is that on his mind right now? Or is he having to continue to remind himself that he doesn't have 2 Fireballs, you don't have to worry about that. Continue to play this grindy game.
Now, if you're playing this tournament at home, are you sitting there with a pen and paper and writing down every card you see and every card that's been played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, just getting caught up in the moment, sometimes you forget to do stuff like that.
That, once again, speaks to the importance of tournament experience.
Choosing not to taunt up here. I mean, this looks like it's going to be Flame Strike, and I think this is a pretty big recovery turn from Dart.
I don't think he's really going to get much of a better Flame Strike than this. And it's just, he's sitting at such a low life total. I mean, he's dead next turn if he doesn't Flame Strike. Pretty much, with Dark Bomb in hand, the Owl to silence up. No, he doesn't, of course, but I mean, sitting at 9 HP without an ice block, you can't be comfortable. You have to know that there's dark bombs in there. You know there's a potential for silence. Like, you have to be thinking through some of these things. Even potential for Ragnaros or something in there, like you said. You know, these are all things that you have to be thinking of. 9 HP is just not a comfortable life total whatsoever. I mean, he could just decide to draw. But, okay, so he's going to trade in. So I think he wants to get that ice block up there. Let's see. Let's see what he did get. Well, if the ice block, okay, the ice block isn't green, so he got ice block.
Yep.
So ice block, and then that's a duplicate now. Okay. Interesting that he wants to get some more drakes. Void color.
It's kind of interesting to me that he's been holding on to this Flame Strike for so long.
Yeah.
I thought last turn was a pretty excellent Flame Strike turn.
Ooh, Molten Giant, nice tap.
Yep. I think
Molten
JustSaiyan's
Giant
kind of...
Dr. Boom is pretty good, but do you want to really play that much into it? I don't know if you need.
Well, that is Flame Strike this big of a threat anymore? Even
not really, I guess. When with like such high life totals, plus if you're Flame Striking the bombs, you know, does have the potential to actually do a lot of work as well.
Yeah, I mean, if Dart was at 8, I mean, he could potentially die from just the
2 bombs.
Dr. Boom bombs.
He actually just silence up and go face here.
He might just silence up the Drake too.
Yeah, very, very possible. Yeah, it's better. I mean, it's smarter. It's more of a safe play, right?
Flame striking a void color seems like it's really tough to do.
Yeah, this is more just looking at the safe play. It's not going to get too crazy. I think that's just being an anti-kill bot. Okay. Alright, so anti-kill bot comes out.
Dart 10 cards in hand. But where do you go now? I mean, this is a lot of damage.
I mean, you can Flame Strike here, but then you're going to be put to 1 next turn. The Ice Block's going to be triggered.
Are you going to Flame Cannon and hope that you pick off this Molten Giant?
I don't know.
I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's going to be 50-50, and that's going to be a
Oh my gosh.
massive play. Let's see if he gets it.
So important. He
Doesn't
gets the
get
wrong
it.
one. Oh my gosh. And this Ice Block now
That could be
about to
game-ending.
get popped.
I mean, I feel like he just dropped Dr. Boom and stuff here now.
Yeah.
Even if it is cleared up, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, Ice Block's going to get popped. Dr. Boom's on board. I don't know how Dart's going to get out of this one. My gosh. And a heavy board presence.
The thing is,
this
you can't
point.
even play your Alex Raza anymore. There's, you have to play Ice Block again. So I mean, it's got to be Ice Block. We'll see what else he's going to go for. I mean, let's think through this. Ice Block gives you another turn. Now, where do you start to recover
How do you
here?
actually, how do you actually win the game? He doesn't have the damage to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, all he can do is... I mean, he's not dead, but he doesn't have anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think if there's any way he could actually start to recover. So he plays the Ice Block. I mean, you can Fireball up the Molten Giant, but you can't really do much of anything after that then. So I think he's just going to Mountain Giant and taunt up. Oh no, Mountain Giant and just go face, okay.
14, 15. He's only got 15 damage next turn with a Fireball. That's if everything lives. Including himself. It just looks so funny.
That value bomb, man.
That's always like the worst feeling as a mage, like in World of Warcraft, where you have to Ice Block like nothing.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I'm just going to die anyway. But
Well-
yeah, just saying, tremendous control over this game so far. And maybe he should have queued this up instead of his Paladin deck. Looking at the way this game has gone, I mean, it feels like he's been in control the entire. It's the opposite of what happened last game.
Yeah. And now it's going to end up being a Warlock versus Warlock, and this is a pretty unique Warlock deck. Definitely some cards in there weren't really expecting to see. It's going to be the Fireball to his own face, I'm guessing, and it is going to be. He's going to finish it off with style points, and Dart going to be going down to JustSaiyan here. It's going to be a 2-2 series now.
But Game 5 with JustSaiyan and Dart is happening right now, and we can take a look and see already. This looks like a mirror match to me.
Yep, it is going to be the Handlock Mirror, and I wonder just how similar these deck lists are. It could be down to the very card. I mean, these guys are friends. These guys are practice partners. Who knows if they came up with this deck list together?
Pretty good opening hands, I think, from both of them. And we see Lotheb and a couple of Sludge Belchers in one, and Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant available for Dart.
Yeah. Now, handlock, admittedly, not something I've really played very much of. I mean, in a handlock mirror, is it really? I mean, from what I know, it seems like it's so much just about like a massive swing with a big shadow flame. I mean, is that really? Would you say that's pretty accurate? Would you say it's like what do you feel is the key here to winning in the handlock mirror? Is it that shadow flame that clears a bunch of 8/8s?
Shadow flame is definitely one of them, but another important story is just who gets the ball rolling first, and just straight away from Dart, he's got Twilight Drake and he's got Mountain Giant, but Sludge Belchers can oftentimes really, really buy you a lot of time, and in this spot, Sludge Belcher will buy him some time, but Mortal Coil is going to help clear out the Sludge Belcher too, so pretty significant value going to be grabbed from Dart, and then he's got Mountain Giant, or he's got another Twilight Drake to follow that up. And I think at this point he feels pretty confident that there's, oftentimes not going to be an Iron Beak Owl in JustSaiyan's hand, given, how this play has gone out so far. But even if he did think there was one, I think that this Twilight Drake would probably be better than Mountain Giant. Mountain Giant's going to cost 3 mana next turn. You're getting a 4/10 on the board. And you're not really looking for damage so much as you are just looking to solidify a big presence.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that's so tough to ever really clear out. It's going to be Zombie Chow and the second Sludge Belcher coming down, but yeah, it just really has not gotten those kind of 4-drop threats that you really want. Those turn 4 classic threats, the Drakes, the Giants, and it's already looking a little bit tough here for JustSaiyan.
Let's see, he does have Shadow Flame available, so... Wow, Void Color Shadow Flame seems like... funny in some scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't really have it doesn't have another demon yet to actually draw. It has the ability to drop that Doctor Boom next turn, which will kind of give him his first real strong turn, but... Let's see what the call is going to be here.
I imagine if this is happening, he's going to drop Earth and Farseer and heal up on his guys, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to get you out of that easy Shadow Flame range.
Yep. Running out of time. Second Zombie Chow, certainly not what he wanted right now.
I mean, you can just drop Dr. Boom, but at the same time, it's like you are going to be paying a lot of life next turn.
Yeah, and you're worried about Shadow Flame in a position like that too.
Very worried, but...
Yeah, really heavy board presence here. I imagine he's just going to kind of hope that he could buy just a little bit more time to find a good Shadow Flame turn. So this is going to prevent Shadow Flame from happening, but we'll have to see what Dart can do to make sure that his board position stays really strong this turn.
I mean, you can just start to trade. I mean, you can start to take out some of these minions and kind of just decrease the value of that Shadow Flame. But at the same time, does he want to just get really aggressive, just start going face? I mean, I don't know if it's really what he wants to do.
Yeah, going for face, I think, is certainly not what he's going to be doing.
I kind of just like just trading, just kill off the Zombie Chow, kill off the Lothab.
It hurts to do that sort of stuff too, though. I mean, the longer that you just continue to attack your opponent's minions, the more time you give them to find turns like Shadow Flame. And just, since the fact that neither of them have neither of them have access to Molten Giant right now, in terms of their life totals, you don't want to activate that. And at the same time, this Zombie Chow is kind of preventing you from getting to that point.
Yeah, I like this though. I mean, I think this is like, even if he does get, a Shadow Flame next turn, you are going to lose a couple minions, but your Drakes would still be alive. He may not decide to go for the attack, but I feel like either way, it's going to be traded in unless you want to taunt up, and that's potentially giving even more value.
Sludge Belcher's for sure going to come down this turn. This might be 8 to the face. Oh, no.
So he's going to trade. I kind of like trading.
Definitely don't want to give too much in terms of Oh, that's actually pretty good in silence too now. I mean, this is a really tough board position to deal with. And Shadow Flame, it looks like he's going to Hellfire and Shadow Flame here, yeah. This is going to clear this board extremely nicely.
And that is kind of the swing turn that I was talking about. Getting that massive clear really can start to turn these games around.
Second Mountain Giant picked up here from Dart. Yeah, he's got access to Coin Alexstrasza or Mountain Giant. He's going to go with Life Tap and Mountain Giant.
Just rough, really, for JustSaiyan. Still hasn't drawn a Drake or a Giant. No Mountain Giants that he's had available yet. He hasn't had his Drakes yet. I mean, so he's going to have them available later. But it's just a question, can he actually survive? Can he actually get something rolling to get to that point?
Yeah, again, you're not worried about too much burst from Handlock lately. Leroy used to be in here. This is months ago, though. And it was Leroy Power Overwhelming and Faceless Manipulator deal 20 points of damage. And these decks have gone way away from that and turned into these really heavy mid-range decks that are looking for really big swing turns and not so much looking to actually just lethal you from a high life total anymore. And you've instead replaced it with just consistent threats like Dr. Boom, and you've shored up your aggro game a lot by playing stuff like Anti-Keelbot. So,
Do you think just Dr. Boom taunting up here?
yeah, I think Dr. Boom is just totally fine here.
Taunt up?
I don't know if you taunt. I just don't think you're
No
worried
tap,
about
no
it.
taunt.
Like, this is a spot where I think you kind of are welcoming the damage. You have a Molten Giant in your hand. You have a bunch of heals. I don't think you're worried about it.
Very true.
Now, Dart here, of course, has an opportunity to get really aggressive with this Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, how much damage could he actually do? He could put him at 15, and then he could coin a Dark Bomb out. So, I mean, he could put him at 15, deal 12 damage. So he could put him at 3 HP.
Yeah, it looks like Siphon Soul. Siphon Soul's probably a better option here. Just to keep, you want to keep the board under control. You really go from there.
So the bombs land. Face is probably exactly what he wanted.
Closer to that Molten Giant. And look at this, he's actually going to have to attack this Mountain Giant into a Boombot. The reason he's doing this, of course, is he doesn't want to activate Molten Giant. That's the key there.
Think about coining out a taunt, perhaps, or an Ancient Watcher. Could be the Ancient Watcher.
He's got an Iron Beak Owl, so I can see why he'd want to have it on the board straight away. Jaraxxus into hand. But I don't think he's got an opportunity to drop this, and if he does, he's actually just dead.
Yeah.
To what's on the board here. But not a lot of options otherwise. I mean, he can basically just heal up.
Still hasn't been drawing. You know, he still hasn't drawn into his Mountain Giant. So that's pretty nice.
That's a really nice draw right now.
Yeah.
And again, sort of a backward step away from your Molten Giant, but I don't think you want to leave Mountain Giant.
Still, I mean, the thing is, he still has both his Mountain Giants available. He still has both his Drakes available. So it's not like the only threats he has are going to be those Mountain Giants. I mean, one of the things is, you know, JustSaiyan hasn't been getting those Giants, but he still has those threats available, whereas his opponent has really been working through them. He has been dealing with them.
Dart's just going to go for Molten Giant straight away. He smells blood. When that Siphon Soul comes out, I think he smells blood. And this is his time to kind of strike for this. Mortal Coil has got to be one of the worst draws in the deck right now.
He just decided to tap here.
God, this is rough.
It is, man. It's a tough position, but it's not really a lot of great plays.
Do you think there's ever a spot where he's happy with just a 315 Jaraxxus? Or do you think he's relying on the hero power effect or the really, really long game and make sure that can kind of carry him through?
I mean, he might even just be more concerned about having just the extra kind of heal up. I mean, he has been like weathering the storm very well. I mean, I've been talking a lot about how he hasn't gotten those draws. I mean, he hasn't gotten the Mountain Giants and Drake, so he still has those all in his deck. If he can actually weather the storm and survive to those turns and start playing those threats, he might actually be able to start turning this around. So it might actually be double Dark Bomb here now.
Yep.
It's going to be the double Dark Bomb. We'll be able to clean this up.
So much invested into a Molten Giant.
Yeah. But still, you know, he is weathering the storm. You got to give him credit. I mean, he hasn't had that great set of cards that he's wanted, but
23 sort of out of the range of, wow, he's actually going to heal his opponent and keep him even further away from Molten Giant range. It's like, you know what, you life tap away. You do whatever you want. You're not getting the second Molten Giant, buddy.
And I think that also speaks to the fact that he wants to maybe use Drax to still go really late. You know, like, you know, he's realizing that he's neutralized a lot of the threats. He's killed a Molten Giant. He's killed 2 Mountain Giants. He's killed 2 Drakes. Has he killed the second Molten Giant? Or just one?
Just one Molten Giant so far.
So there's one more Molten Giant.
He's got to kill Alexstrasza next, though, and there's no direct way to actually answer this at the moment.
There's a
second Void Caller.
He can Molten Giant taunt.
When you taunt, you're worried a little bit about Shadow Flame at that point.
Yep.
You don't want to overcommit to the board.
Ooh,
Mal'Ganis comes into the hand of JustSaiyan, and now Void Caller looks like a much better option than it was just a moment ago.
Yeah.
But still sort of like that coin flip scenario, you know.
So he's got to use he's going to have to use the anti-Keelbot here. You know, sitting at 13 HP, you just can't feel comfortable. It's not going to be enough.
There's that Molten Giant from Dart, and he's nowhere near being able to play it right now because JustSaiyan actually healed his opponent with Earthen Ring Farseer here to keep him out of the range of that. God, we've seen some crazy plays, but this is going to be one of the craziest ones. This is almost certainly getting Shadow Flamed.
I like it. He's going to be able to steal up that Molten Giant, and that's a big play.
The pressure is on to JustSaiyan right now. He's got Void Caller and Mal'Ganis and Jiraxxus, but he's taking a lot of damage. He's down to 13.
It's the draw and not going to help him.
This turn is so crucial because Void Caller could put into play Jiraxxus or it could put Mal'Ganis into play, and he cannot control the order that happens in.
He could also summon another Void Caller unless he doubles them up, so he's got to do double Void Caller and taunt. He doesn't really have an option there because if the Void Caller summoning another Void Caller, it'd be pretty bad.
Just look how close Dart is to having lethal. He's a mortal coil off of lethal right now.
Wow.
The life tap picks up his own Jiraxxus.
Now, do you think you silence up your Ancient Watcher to keep the Molten Giant alive?
It's tough to say. Yeah, when your opponent's played Void Callers in this position too, you're worried about what they put into play. Like if Mal'Ganis gets put into play here.
Do you expect Mal'Ganis though? That's also a question. I mean, he could just be thinking, okay, it's just gonna be the Jiraxxus, you know.
I think if your opponent's playing Void Caller, you have to at least account for Mal'Ganis.
Yeah. Some tough decisions here to make. I mean, do you really want to give up that Molten Giant? Do you want to silence up and trade in? Do you want to silence one of the Void Callers to deny a summon and kill it off? You know, there's a lot of options here. Do you want to silence a Void Caller and get that 8 damage to face and just really try to turn up the heat?
I think he's going to still focus on trying to be aggressive again. You know, it looks like JustSaiyan has kind of been struggling to really put together a solid defense here. And this turn was like sort of like the last straw. You know, he's like, I got to make this play and hope that it works out for me. He's got to make something happen now, and it doesn't look like he's going to have time to actually react to a Void Caller should it hit. But he's not even going to attack this turn. He's just going to pass. Wow. And there's a Molten Giant.
Another taunt, pretty nice here. Now, I mean, I don't think you want Jiraxxus to get picked up. I mean, I think you're going to Molten Giant, you're going to be able to taunt up again, and then do you think you just crash in?
I think at this point, if your opponent was unwilling to attack, that maybe you're just unwilling to attack as well. Yep. Wow, his positioning may have been a little bit off there too. By the way, he may have missed 3 points of taunt on that Sun Fury Protector if that's something he wanted. Yeah, Big Game Hunter is definitely a big draw right now.
Wait. How much damage does he actually have? I mean, he has to get through 2 of those. Dark Bomb, so he's going to be able to get through. Can he actually just kill him here? Yeah, he can actually just kill him. Can he? Can he?
He's got Iron Beak Owl. He's got Molten Giant. Oh, yeah, he does have lethal.
He's dead. Yep, lethal.
Wait.
No, with Mal'Ganis. He has to deal with Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, you have to deal with Mal'Ganis first.
He calls well played, but then he sees the Mal'Ganis. Oh, he can silence it up. Okay.
Is that?
Yeah,
oh, he's got exactly 11 after that.
With it.
Wow. What? That was a tough turn to navigate. You know, I'm looking so closely at like how to fight the attrition battle here, but it's just. I guess I just got that one surprised me. I didn't even see that lethal. I was just so worried about how to fight this attrition battle and like worried about the Void Caller when Mal'Ganis is gonna come down. Like, oh, he can just Iron Beak Owl.
Yeah, well, as soon as I saw the BGH come down, I was like, yeah, I think he has it. Like, because I mean, it just deals straight with that 8/8 taunt.